Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Tees Valley Sport Podcast. This week I'm joined by three members of the Tees Valley Sport team and we're going to talk about how we've managed to stay active during lockdown. It's lots of little hints and tips which people may find useful. We hope you do. What we'd like people to do is please give us a listen and then please give us a follow, either subscribe on YouTube, Spotify or wherever you listen to our podcasts. The following that we've had so far has been fantastic, but the more people that follow us, the higher up the list we go, the more people that we can support across the Tees Valley. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing?
Morning.
Morning, Mark.
Morning. So, just to quickly, could you all introduce yourselves to me, please, so people know a little bit about you?
Sure. Should I start?
Yeah, go on then, Lou.
Hi, it's Lou Morris. I'm an assistant project officer with Tees Valley Sport. Just work 2.5 days a week, the front end of the week.
Fantastic.
I'm Mal Fitzgerald. I recently joined the organisation in December as the executive director, and I'm full-time.
Morning, Nigel Hornsby, and I'm currently Workforce Development Officer and School Games Coordinator for Tees Valley Sport. So, yeah, been around about 4 years now. So
fantastic. Okay, so we've all jumped on the call this morning just to have a bit of a chat around how we've stayed active during lockdown. So we're going to have a bit of a chat around that, and then we're just going to kind of see a few tips, a few bits of ideas. But we just want a bit of a chat, really, to give some people maybe some little helpful tips and some ideas and how they can stay active during lockdown as well, because we all know it's been a pretty difficult year in terms of, you know, gyms opening, gyms closing. So we've had to be a little bit creative, a little bit innovative, and think about little bits of ways outside the box. So I'm going to, first of all, come on to you two, Nigel and Lou, because I know you two are very, very keen cyclists. So in terms of your cycling, have you been able to kind of keep the miles going on the bike while during the lockdowns? How have you been able to kind of juggle that?
I'll jump in now. The first lockdown, yeah, that was easy, but more recently, since Christmas, just with the weather being as it is, it's been really tough. I mean, look at what I did last year compared to this year, and the number of times I've been out. I think I've been out 4 times since Christmas. So really limited. And yeah, I can go and do bits in the garage. I have a set of rollers, but you get the exercise, but you don't get sort of all the stimulation of being outdoors, seeing the wildlife, seeing the trees, that sort of thing. And obviously, like everyone else, you miss doing things with your mates.
Definitely. How about yourself, Nigel? I've heard little bits about what you've been doing, but
yeah, I've I only started really getting into my cycling around February, March last year, at which point I bought an indoor trainer. So I've very much since, I'm probably the opposite to Lou, to be fair. I've probably been out 4 times in 12 months, whether it be summer or winter. I think the indoor trainer for me really suits, because it just allows me to do an hour without actually having to go anywhere. So I'm getting a really good workout in the house. So that's been a godsend, really, and probably on that 2-3 times a week now, getting a good hour's workout or more, sometimes even less, but depending on what the workout is. So for me, it's very much around the fitness side of it and just maintaining the fitness. So getting those hard workouts. I completely appreciate what Lou's saying about getting out and seeing people and getting that fresh air in the environment and things. It really does help. But with time constraints and things, the turbo trainer inside the house is fantastic.
And how about yourself, Mal? What have you been doing, kind of, if we talk about this lockdown to start with, and then we'll maybe jump back around a little bit with the first one.
It's not been as difficult for me because about 12 years ago I bought a summer house, quite a large summer house for the garden, and over time I've kind of it's changed from being somewhere nice to relax in the summer to being a gym. So over kind of 12 years I've just added equipment to it. So I've literally got a fully equipped gym at the end of my garden. So I am inordinately lucky in that respect that, you know, when the gym shut down, it didn't really have much impact on me. And to be honest, a lot of my activity and kind of fitness stuff is indoor, or, you know, was very much indoor. But during this lockdown, I've got a dog, you know, I tend to take him for 1 or 2 walks. But you know, during this lockdown, it's been 3 or 4 walks. So I'll take him for a nice long walk early on in the morning when there's no one about. But then I'll go out for about 20 minutes or so, a couple of times a day, and that literally is just to get me away from the computer, outdoors, into some fresh air. And I must admit, I have a kind of renewed appreciation of being outdoors now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing for me, that, you know, it is just a case of getting outdoors. And I mean, I'm going for a house renovation at the moment, so my time's kind of all around sorting out the house, and my training side of things, it's kind of almost been put to the side. But I mean, last night when it was snowing, I finished work. We've got a 1-year-old daughter. We popped her on the sledge, went around the block, 10-15 minutes, and that was on my fresh out, some exercise, but it was lovely. So I think what you're saying about that, really enjoying that outside, it's been massive for me. And it is just literally utilizing the kind of the outdoors when you can, isn't it? And you know, as you say, Mal, you've got a gym in your house, which, you know, that's amazing for you. But obviously you two with your biking, getting out on the rollers, getting on the turbo. I mean, it's just so much different, isn't it? It's just such a different way of keeping active now. But for me, what I'd like to know is how it's differed this lockdown to last lockdown. So in terms of how you've trained, how you've been, what kind of differences have you guys all noticed?
I think from my perspective, I think it's been very much the third lockdown's been we're in lockdown again, and there's not been as much online or kind of promoted support. There hasn't been that innovative side of it. In March and things like that, when we first went into lockdown towards the end of it and things, there was loads of challenges and things coming out online.
Yeah.
And obviously the weather was better, so it probably did help. But you're getting out for doing running challenges, walking challenges, all medals and things coming through the door. That was a real incentive to get active and doing some more different things. For me, like I said, I was just started doing the cycling, but that was part of like triathlon training. So I was looking to get swimming and running at the time. So I managed to get out, do some open water swimming with Lou as well, in the Tees, which was an experience in itself. I was expecting to be ill for about a month after being in there, but survived. Lou's idea of a can of Coke after the swim, where it went down a treat. But yeah, a couple of times in the river, and those challenges online to get out running were great. So there's like little duathlon challenges where you do a 20 minutes on the bike and a 20-minute run and see how far you got, submit them, you know, and every Tuesday you're doing one of those, and it gives you something to look forward to every week. You know, it gives you something to aim for, and it's a little bit of a challenge as well. So yeah, they were really, really good. Don't know whether it's just because they've lost that kind of innovation at the start of it, or I can't even think of what the word would be, but they don't seem to be as forefront now, this lockdown. So I think that probably with the weather and things, they probably could have been done with being a bit more in your face this time round.
Yeah, definitely.
Support people a bit more, because they were a real good incentive. I mean, that's for me being active anyway, you know, it got me up and going. So for people who aren't really keen on being active, with not being there, it's going to hit them hard, I think.
Yeah. What about yourself, Lou? How have you kind of found it?
That's for one thing, just echoing a little bit, I suppose, what Nige said, that in the first lockdown, it felt like sort of groups of friends on WhatsApp, and you know, different groups you're in. It's almost like a competition of who's done the biggest workout today, and that's what people talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a distraction or whether it's just, well, actually that's all we're allowed to do, so that's what we're going to talk about, that and my experience with the food shop. But I mean, through this last spring and summer when the weather was good, yeah, getting outdoors was massive, and I was swimming a couple of times a week. Had just got back in the pool when things closed down again. So I'm really missing the swimming, kind of, because I enjoy it, but also I know it helps. I've got a bit of a back problem, and swimming's really good for that. So it takes the pressure off, helps you lengthen out. So I've had to compensate that by doing a bit more stretching, which I'm not very good at doing or building into a routine, so I don't really like it. I'm not very flexible, so I'm not very good at it.
My toes are on my way when I try and touch my toes, and they're getting further away now.
That's one thing I absolutely despise. And being a sports scientist and a coach, you think, right, everyone needs to stretch after an exercise. I never do it. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. I hate it.
I tried.
Well, I actually
tried
talk
the
about stretching.
rollers.
I paid for it's called a ROMWOD, and it actually goes through a stretching routine a day. And I tell you what, for the first 6 days, I was all over it. I was so good. I was 6 days. I was like, I'm going to do this every day of this lockdown. I'm going to be absolutely all over it. And now I don't even know my login for it.
I've tried again. I miss going to the gym. Used to do that a couple of times a week, couple of times swimming, and I've tried to do some resistance work using a set of bands, which are pretty good. I mean, they had a bit of variety. Just owing up to my age, I'm very aware of losing that muscle mass and how hard it is to get back. So just trying to do some maintenance work with that. But again, more enjoyable when you can intersperse that with going outdoors. You knew it's like, maybe half hour just doing some resistance work because you're going to get out on the bike later in the day or go for a walk. You had daylight until 9 o'clock. This time it's felt more like, I suppose, a chore and a maintenance and something I feel like, well, so I ought to do it. And it's not really for being healthier or being better. It's, I know I'm really grumpy if I don't, and that doesn't make it very easy for anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I know that feeling. I'm one of those. I'm the same as you. When I'm not trained, if I'm not working out, like it's incredible. Like the moods that it can make. Just when you feel so much better, don't you? When you're having a good workout. I mean, I know just prior to this lockdown, I was getting up to the gym. I was going at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I was getting home. I was a bit of time with our daughter, and then it was to work. But your day started out with an absolute buzz for me. It was that buzz of the get up and go, and it's incredible that the difference. I mean, it's now it's just trying to find that time. And I've got some weights in the house that are in the garage, but the way our house at the moment, I can barely even get into the garage. So it's just trying to find other ways. As you say, I bought some resistance bands, Lou, and trying to utilize them. It's just trying to figure out different ways, isn't it? And the bands, I mean, they weren't expensive. They were a great little addition for me initially. And I think it might have been from talking to you, I think a while ago, actually, when we were in the office, Lou, about bands, that maybe you want to go and get some. So, but what about yourself, Mal? How have you kind of found it differ this time around?
I think generally people are so much more fatigued. You know, there is just an absolute sense of, we've completely had it now. We're really over this. We just want to try and figure a way out of it and get a way through. I think people are, people who have children at home. I'm really fortunate. I'm home alone, so I have a bit more flexibility. But for people who are having to homeschool or look after children, I think in the first lockdown, I think there was almost a sense of, well, the kids are having fun, they're doing something, at least, it's not going to last long, and then they'll be back at school, and then another lockdown and another lockdown. So this time I think people are like, all right, you're really going to sit down and you're going to do your lessons and you're going to maintain that focus and attention because we don't want you missing out. So I think, generally parents and carers are having to do a lot more work at home, particularly if they're caring for someone or if they're looking after someone. And if you think about people who have maybe limited mobility or who have a disability, it's so much more difficult to be active at home. It's really, really tough. So, we are, generally in quite a privileged position. We have the economic means and generally the psychological means to kind of maintain at least some level of activity. But for the majority of people, it's really, really tough. They've got, their circumstances are quite different to ours. And being inactive, there's lots of reasons why people are already inactive. You add a global pandemic onto that, you're just making the problem a lot worse. But generally, I think, people are just kind of clinging on now, hoping that the vaccination program, gets past the infection levels and we start to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And, we know there's still a bit of a way to go, but I think people are just so much, there's a huge sense of just tiredness and fatigue and just really wanting to start to get out to meet people and see people and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So I want to kind of go around the virtual room and ask you what your top tips would be for people who perhaps aren't active but may want to be active. So what would you kind of say to people would be your kind of top tip for those that are inactive and may want to get a little bit of assistance? I don't know who wants to start off.
I think it's very much around about starting small. Find something you enjoy. Start small, set small goals. I think it's around getting over that the contemplation stage and getting into that actually doing phase, and doing things in small chunks. Small achievable goals will help you sustain it. I think the worst thing anyone could probably do is go in and do a full hours HIIT, gym, weight workout, and then be aching and sore for a month afterwards. So it's very much a case of set goals within your capabilities and do something you enjoy doing, and that would be the first step for me.
Awesome. Lou, do you want to jump in next?
Yeah, sure. I think just recognize and then remember how much better you feel for even for doing a little bit. You might not want to go out, but you know that once you've been, you feel brighter, you feel better, you feel kinder.
Love that. Mal?
Yeah, I think if it's difficult for you to get out, do something in the house that is fun, whether that's playing with the kids or acting like a frog. Don't make yourself look stupid. Put on a radio station that plays music from your era, and dance around the house. Do something anything that lifts your mood, gets your heart rate up a little bit, gets you moving a little bit. Don't be afraid to try stuff. And as Nigel says, it doesn't have to be something huge. Just do little things throughout the day, just that enable you to get up, move around, have a bit of fun, and just as Lou says, it's that feeling you get once it's done that is the real payoff, really.
Absolutely. I think that was an absolute, you hit the nail on the head there, Lou. It's that mood, isn't it? It's how you feel. And for me, it's for my top tip, find something people enjoy. It's that enjoyment factor, and it's kind of getting everything together. It's not doing something as nice that's going to absolutely kill somebody off in the first trying to do an hour of a HIIT session. It's just trying to find those little enjoyable things. And I mean, I think it's for us. It's three of us in this room. We've got a dog. It's just taking the dog out. It's it's going that little bit further with the dog. It's when I said one of my friends has just been doing the Couch to 5K program. He probably isn't doing it now. That when I look outside my window and it's snowing, but he's really enjoyed doing that. And he said to me that he's really, really enjoyed. He's had the podcast. He's been going out. He's been following it to the absolute T. And he's not a runner, but he's absolutely loved it. And he's really that's something he's really, really enjoyed. And that program for him has really helped him. And he's a gym goer, but he's never been a runner. So he likes lifting the weights and he likes doing that side of things. But he said to me, it was a while ago, he said to me, I've never ran, and I'm going to give it a go. And he was texting me saying, I ran a little bit further tonight. I've run a little bit longer tonight. And it's just that little milestone achievements, isn't it, that people have been getting through a program like that, Couch to 5K. So yeah, definitely. It's just the enjoyment, isn't it, is a key one.
Yeah, I mean, we did a case study on the Couch to 5K, and there's a case study on our website. So if people want to have a look at that, that's a really nice story about Sarah. Just newborn baby, she's got 2, and she'd never been a runner and followed the Couch to 5K, real success. So that's definitely a program to get people active. If you're going out in dodgy weather like this, just make sure you're wrapped up and don't be afraid of it. But it's just short achievable goals again. But that Couch to 5K program, I hear loads of really, really good stories all the time about it.
Yeah, and I think for me, 2021 for me is going to be about spending more time outdoors, getting out, getting my activity time outdoors. And I think generally, even over the next few years, everyone knows that being outdoors is probably a little bit safer. I think you'll see more people, hopefully, being active outdoors, whether that's walking or running, And I think as a nation, we have to get over this thing about, because activity kind of nosedives as soon as it starts to get a bit dark and a bit cold and a bit wet. Generally, for most people, we are waterproof. We have got big coats and stuff. So, enjoying spending time outdoors when it is a little bit cold, a little bit wet, just building our resilience, I think, because I think through the last year, that resilience has been incredibly important. And, it's been tough for a lot of us. But, building our personal, physical and psychological resilience is going to be important for the future. I think that's why it's important, no matter, what issues, potentially physical or medical issues you may have, being active, there is no one that will not benefit from being a bit more active.
Absolutely. So to kind of really wrap this one up, I just want to go around and would you've done anything differently this time around? Obviously, this is lockdown take 3. Would you do anything differently in terms of trying to stay active, being more active? Just for people that might be thinking about trying to get a little bit more active, can we give some things in kind of what we've done and what we've kind of learned from our personal lives, really?
I think I would definitely spend more time outdoors. I've been a little bit cabined up, during the summer, and it was easy to get out. I've resisted a little bit, so although I have been taking the dog out more regularly, I should have done that sooner and done it more frequently, I think. So that would be what I would have done differently. I would have made a particular effort to get out, and spend more time outdoors.
Brilliant.
I think mine might be a bit counter to what you're looking for, but in terms of coming from someone who, or for people who are used to exercising a lot, it's don't give yourself a hard time if there's reasons you can't do it sometimes. We have had horrible weather compared to what we had sort of this time last year. Just weather that stops you doing things sometimes. So if you do a little bit of something else, or you don't do something one day, just look at the bigger picture and don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, it's I've been very individual in terms of how I've been exercising. I mean, you all know that my wife's really active, and I think she's over since March probably trained every single day, or missed a couple of days now and again during the week. But she's been an inspiration, really. I think she could be an inspiration to a lot of people. And I think for me, it'll be very much a case of exercise with her a bit more, exercise with someone else. And I think that goes for everyone, really. Be more social with your family. When you do it, like, make it a social activity. Even with the kids, you can be active with their schooling. Just try something different. Doesn't have to be exercise. Just moving is activity for me. So I think for me, it would be very much do more activity with the wife, and help her push me a bit harder. And she's the same. She's on the bike as well. She does the racing that I do on a Tuesday night, and every time she comes off, I've been stood there in her ear motivating her to go faster and keep going and get up those hills and stuff. She comes off, she goes, "I never would have done that if you weren't there in my ear." So that support network, and having exercising with someone else really does help keep you going, and just get you over those final hurdles, I think. So yeah, definitely for me. I'm one that just waves the white flag and gives up now and again. So I definitely need someone to exercise.
Everyone needs a cheerleader, Nige.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so true, though. It's so true. I mean, it's for me. It's going back to what you said previously, Lou, a while ago. That it's having that support network around you. I mean, my cricket club, I play for a local cricket team in Darlington, and we've got a group of people that have been trying to get a little bit more active. And this lockdown round for me, I've kind of come back off a little bit because life's been really hectic, and outside of the work life, it's trying to balance everything. And it's, for me, it's that's my thing. I would have done differently, trying to just get that little bit more done, and not to make those excuses. And tiredness, it's an excuse to be tired, but when the first and second lockdowns, I was getting up in the morning early, and I was going up and I was training, and that was starting my day off. But this time around, I'm just thinking to myself, I'd love that extra 30 minutes in bed. And it's whereas the last 2 lockdowns, I've been like, right, I'm up now. But this lockdown, it's just been a little bit trickier for me. So that would be my personal one, would be using that support network I've had around me. And that for the first 2 lockdowns was so crucial. So I'm similar to you, Nigel. It's just really having that support network around yourself, just to really, really drive you and to give you that encouragement. Because some of the lads in the group, they've been absolutely smashing it this lockdown. They've been really, really doing well. I mean, one of the lads he's recently had a young little baby boy, then it's given him that drive to get going again after having a child. So it's for me, yeah, I'm the same. It's just having that support network, and I wish I'd have utilised it a little bit better this time around, really. But there's still time. We can start. We can still go again, can't we?
You are giving yourself a hard time. You've just moved house. I bet you've been so physical throughout the day, shifting things, putting things where they should be, building things, putting shelves up. It's probably much harder than a workout. So, don't be one of those people who doesn't beat yourself up.
Oh no, you're right, Lou. You're right. I mean, yeah, it's tough. As I think of what we're saying, it's finding different ways to keep active as well. Because, as I say, flat packing furniture is keeping active, isn't it? It's putting up shelves is active. So although it's not technically doing something physically active as what we initially say it was, it is keeping yourself going and keeping yourself busy, isn't it? And it all adds up at the end of the day.
And you're never too far gone, regardless of your age or whatever medical condition or whatever. It's never, if people think, oh, it's too late for me to start doing anything now, it isn't. No matter
Absolutely.
what age or, what circumstances, just doing something small, that, it's key. It'll lift your mood, it'll improve your health, and those are the critical things that we really need to take care of now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think everyone. I mean, I suffered over this lockdown working from home in terms of having those ups and downs and suffering with a bit of mental health. And you kind of think, well, and like I said before, I'm one of those that'll, if it gets hard, I'll wave the white flag and I'll just kind of dial it back. And sometimes you just need that extra bit of push. And I think it's recognizing when you're struggling to go, actually, right, I actually need to do something now. And that's probably the hard part of it. I think recognizing and self-reflecting to say, actually, I'm not like I was last week. And I think that's a big part of it. And a little bit of exercise can actually just help you just get through that a little bit, give you time away, bit of fresh air, time to focus your mind, and just get you through over that little hump, and try and get you back on a good path. So that was a struggle for me over the lockdowns and being isolated essentially with no social activity. It's just had a big trough and just got into a bit more running and ended up feeling a lot better about myself. So I think it's one of those that get a bit of exercise, get a bit of fresh air in the lungs, and on we go.
Yeah, I think that's really, really true.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think on that, that's a great place to finish. So I'll just thank all three of you for your time this morning. Hopefully we've given some people some little bits of encouragement, some helpful ideas, some tips. And it's just to say that, although we work in a sport and physical environment, that we've had struggles, we've had issues, we've had bits where we found it tough. So those that don't work in this environment, don't worry if you're feeling the same as that. It's very, very natural. It's very, very human. So I just think it's been fantastic to speak to all three this morning. So thank you all very much for your time. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, Mark.
Thanks very much. Stay safe. Get active.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
See you again.
Cheers, guys.
So hope you enjoyed the episode. It was great talking to Mal, Nigel and Lou about how they've managed to stay active during lockdown. We hope that we were honest about things as well. We didn't want it to be we're perfect because we work in sport. We wanted to be really honest and open about things. It hasn't been an easy time. It's been a really difficult year for a lot of people. And we just wanted to really get that message home as well, that, we've had our struggles as well along the line. So we hope you enjoyed the episode. We are planning now to run this as a weekly episode, a weekly podcast. We initially were planning to do it every 2 weeks, but we've decided that there's a lot to talk about and a lot of important topics for discussion. So we are going to be running these out every week. So keep an eye out. We have got an episode on mental health next week, which I can't wait to record and share with everyone. I think it's a topic that's a really crucial one at the minute with everything that's been going on with lockdown. So I think that follows really nicely with this week's episode. So stay tuned and we'll see you next week.